Welcome back to the SighSquad podcast. It's another great week in the sports world as a lot happened last week. We'll get into it all, and we have a special guest with us this week. Ethan is back.
Hi. Yeah, I'm back. I'm glad I'm a special guest.
Woo! Yes. How is that quarantine life treating you?
It's good. I get to be a dad more because I'm not at work.
How's that going?
I'm not essential.
How is the child?
Child is good.
Awesome.
Child is healthy, growing fast. She's already 2.5 months old. Means I'm already been off the podcast for like 2.5 months.
That's crazy. Has she worn the baby? Has she tried on the baby clothes yet that I got her, the Viking stuff?
Yes, she has. She has
Yeah.
one of those Vikings onesies.
Heck yeah. Gotta start him young.
She watched the NFL draft with me as well.
What a trooper.
Yeah, she was very interested.
I was gonna say, what was her take on the draft?
She thought there was some winners and losers. She definitely liked some of the picks, hated other picks.
Yeah, that's smart.
She enjoyed watching her dad be happy, be mad, be all sorts of emotions.
See, it's funny because at least in terms of the Vikings, he almost had nothing to be mad about, to be realistic.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's definitely a good draft.
Indeed was. Speaking of draft,
yeah, so the draft was all last weekend, so Thursday through Saturday. And who do you think drafted best, and who do you think drafted worst?
I genuinely, I don't want to show bias, but I genuinely think the Vikings had the best draft this year. I really do. I think they addressed all the holes that they had. Plus, they got a lot of really good, prospects to build the next couple of years before we go into, a full rebuild. So, I mean, I think the Vikings had a really good draft. And then I think the Packers and the Eagles both had very poor drafts.
Really?
I think that they made questionable picks with what they had available. The Packers, obviously, taking Jordan Love in the first round, that was a really controversial pick. Obviously, we have a Packers fan who will probably elaborate on that. But, yeah, I just think the Packers overall had a poor draft. And then the Eagles, to me, I definitely think they rebounded after their first 2 days. I think once we got to that third day, I think the Eagles started making a lot of good choices. But I know a lot of Eagles fans were very upset at the way that the Eagles drafted this year. You know, obviously taking Jalen Reagor in the first round.
I think that's a great pick.
And here's the thing is, I know people aren't necessarily mad at the pick, but when you had somebody like Justin Jefferson literally go the very next pick, I know a lot of people were a lot higher on Justin Jefferson than they were Reagor. So I think that was something that kind of knocked the Eagles this year. I think that given, like I said, that Justin Jefferson was available for the Eagles, I definitely think they should have taken him personally, especially showing what the Eagles did after the draft. Obviously they traded for Marquise Goodwin, so now they have a few slot guys and not necessarily these number 2 wide receivers to pair up with Alshon Jeffrey. So that's where I stand on that pick. But then obviously I'd say the more controversial one is taking Jalen Hurts in the second round. Now I get what they're going to do with him. I know that they're going to use him sort of like a Taysom Hill type of player and play him at multiple positions, and let Carson Wentz stay at quarterback. And obviously I know Carson Wentz has his injury problems. You know, he gets hurt, it seems like every year at some point. So I get it. They want a good backup, but I still think just given the players that were left on the board, especially this draft class, because I think this draft class was very loaded with first-round talent. A lot of guys that went on the second day were very easily first-round talents. And then when they take Jalen Hurts in that second round, I just definitely think that that was a little bit of a poor pick on them. But like I said, after that, I mean, I definitely think they addressed things that they needed. Like they took Davion Taylor, with that third round pick, and Kevon Wallace in the fourth round, getting a linebacker and a safety, which they needed, help in that on the defense side of the ball. But I just think those first two picks were very, very poor for who was left on the board.
Okay, so first off, to defend the Eagles, I thought they had a really good draft. I thought they had a great day one. So Rager, first off, is a great pick because what Rager gives you the deep ball the deep ball, the big play. Because Rager's got this big frame. He's probably about the same size as Justin Jefferson. He's faster than Justin Jefferson. And I think he can high point a football a little bit better. Like, he's going to give you that big playability that you're going to want, that you're going to need to compete in the NFL now. So I think that's why they went more with Rager instead of Justin Jefferson. I mean, Justin Jefferson could play outside. Like, I don't doubt that. That's where the Vikings are going to use them because obviously Adam Thielen's already in the slot. But I think in terms of how they viewed Justin Jefferson, in fact, especially if they knew they were going to get Marquise Goodwin, it's like, okay, well, let's get more of a guy who can get outside. And to be honest, they're probably going to move on from Alshon Jeffrey. Like, I think that's a big reason why they got Rager and traded for Marquise Goodwin. So I think that's kind of how the receiving core is going to look. And for Jalen Hurts, I think it's an underrated. I shouldn't say underrated because it got a lot of buzz, but like I think people are ripping on it way too much. Because I think the Philadelphia Eagles, you have to view it in this regard. And again, I will defend Carson Wentz. Like, again, I always say I can't predict injuries, and I will stand by that. But for the Philadelphia Eagles, you can't deny that the history's there. So, and the roster is built to win now. The Eagles don't have a lot of flaws in a lot of places. Safety position, that's realistically about it. And, linebacker. They addressed those two things in the later rounds. I think they knew they're going to get those guys in later rounds. But outside of those two positions, they had a great roster to win now. If something happens with Carson Wentz, you don't have a reliable backup. Because I think having a backup does matter. And why not get a guy who progressively has been getting better throughout his college career? His completion percentage has gone up, more touchdown passes, less interceptions, more yardage. And you can argue it's because he went to Oklahoma, but they were throwing the ball a lot with him even in Alabama. I mean, he won him a national title, almost won him back-to-back if it wasn't for Deshaun Watson. So why not have that viable backup? And then, like you were saying, if anything, can just use him for an offensive tool, even though I think they should just keep him as a backup quarterback. And if something happens, they can throw him in there. Or just, again, give Carson Wentz a break. Like, if there's a game where they have where they're playing a bad team and they're in a good position in their playoff position, or if they're blowing someone out, put Jalen Hurts in there. And then, who knows, maybe he's the future. If not, use him for a trade asset if he does well. And I think it's a really good signing by the Eagles. I hated it at first, but then when I took a step back, because obviously when you watch the draft, you overreacted instantly after something happens. After I took a step back, took a breath, analyze it all, I thought it was a good pickup. And then in terms of what else they've done, you already said they had a good day 3, and I would 100% agree with you. I like the signing of Davion Taylor, or the draft of Davion Taylor. He's quick, he covers the ball and closes the field well. Not a great tackler. Not very good in pass coverage, so that's going to be an issue. But Kevon Wallace, I think, is going to be an underrated draft. I'm probably going to move him to safety. But other than that, they had a pretty solid draft in terms of getting depth and players that can potentially play. So, well, I'll let someone else talk because I didn't even really answer the question of who had the best and worst draft. So I'll let someone else go first.
I think you could look at the draft was the Cardinals. They snagged Isaiah Simmons with their first pick at 8. But then they were still able to come back and grab Josh Jones, the tackle from Houston, which I know tackle was one of their biggest problems. And I think, I don't know why necessarily he fell, but I think he was good value and he still could be a potential starter there.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was a pretty big steal this year. Well, I wouldn't say it's a steal because they had obviously a high pick, but I think that was a great pick.
Ben, who do you think had the worst draft?
Packers. Easy.
I think I kind of agree with Ethan with the Eagles. I wasn't a big fan of the Jalen Reagor. I know he's a lot like Deshaun Jackson in size. I know they have Deshaun Jackson still. I just don't know.
The Packers literally addressed zero needs that they needed to address, and zero of them. Zero.
They got a backup quarterback and a backup running back.
They did not need a backup quarterback and running back. They did not need those things. The Eagles at least addressed some needs that they addressed their needs. Packers didn't address any needs. It was a terrible draft by Green Bay.
I think another team that didn't have that good of a draft was the Raiders. I think picking
I would agree.
as the first receiver, and then I didn't like their other first round pick.
Damon Arnett, such a reach. That's such a reach.
I thought that was a reach there. I think the Raiders had the worst draft overall.
I still think the Packers, but.
I guess the one
every single pick though the Packers. I understand. I get the reasoning behind all the picks.
The redeeming part of drafting Jordan Love is, hey, it's worked for the Packers before. Obviously, they've done like Aaron Rodgers got the Super Bowl after backing up.
The situation I think is a little. The situation, I think, is a little bit different, though, because Aaron Rodgers fell to them. Aaron Rodgers was projected to be the first overall pick. Like, there's debates if he was going to be the first overall pick. Jordan Love was argued if he was even going to be a first rounder, and the Packers traded up for him.
That's true.
And you're in a position to win now. Like, I get it, times are different back then, but right now, you're in a position to win right now. And you did nothing to close the gap with San Francisco. Because as we know right now, by the way, San Francisco had a really good draft too, and I hate it. But San Francisco is the standard because they are the reigning NFC champions, and they got better this offseason. And the Packers have done nothing. They passed on 36 wide receivers. 36 wide receivers is the most receivers drafted in an NFL draft. And they pass on all of them. Like, you mean to tell me out of all those guys, there wasn't one that you liked? And first off, you were going to get a good one in the first round, but there wasn't any, you didn't want Prochet out of SMU. Like, you didn't want any of those, late round sleepers that could just give you something of a viable number two. You're not looking for the number one guy. You're looking for a second option for Aaron Rodgers. Some guy who could be better than Valdez-Scantling. I mean, no offense to Valdez-Scantling, but I mean, he's not that great of a receiver, and he's okay. He's whatever, but you certainly could have got a better option in the draft. Or if you're not going to go wide receiver, fine, but address the defense. The defense was fine, but they had a cupcake schedule, and they still finished 18th in the NFL. Why not go out there and address and get another linebacker? I do like the Kamal Martin draft though, and I am 1,000% biased of it because I'm a Gophers fan. But outside of that, they didn't even address that in the first round or in the second round. I just think there was questionable decisions by Green Bay all around the board. They maybe had one pick that I liked, and again, that was Kamal Martin. That's really about it. And they probably reached for him in terms of where he was drafted in the draft, but I don't know. I think it's hard to argue.
With their selections, obviously the Jordan Love was their first pick. Aaron Rodgers is under contract, I think it's year 22 or till 23, so Aaron Rodgers will be 40 then. So obviously he is the projected to be the next guy up. A.J. Dillon in the second round. The reason they drafted A.J. Dillon in the second round is because all of our running backs are up to contract this year. Every running back we have on our team's up for contract next year.
I totally get that, but I get that, but A.J. Dillon of all people, you saw J.K. Dobbins there. A.J. Dillon wasn't even projected to even be in the top 4 rounds. That's why I don't like the A.J. Dillon pick. That's such a reach. That is such a reach of a running back. He's not quick. He ran, I think, a 4.6, 4.7 at the combine. He's a power runner, but that's really about it. There's nothing special about him. And that's why I have an issue with it. It was such a reach for the running back position when you still had J.K. Dobbins on there. There was just better running backs available. That's my issue with it.
Right, and I don't know. With the Packers draft, it seemed like they were completely forgetting about the guys that they have now.
Right.
And trying to have a win now mentality, and they're trying to win 5 years from now.
Right, which is fine.
Even know if any of these players will be on that team because the max. What is the max contract? 5 years. So that would give Jordan Love the final year of Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers regresses and is not this athlete that everybody thinks he is.
Yeah. And I think that's why it bugs me so much, because if you're in a position to win now, go get players to win now. Like, right. I don't know. I just find it, I don't know. And I just find it so questionable. And now what you've done is you've created tension with Aaron Rodgers and the rest of the team, to where it's going to be like, if he even wants to stay in Green Bay in the near future, I have no clue. Basically, what the Packers told us is they bought into all the media telling them that they were the worst 13-3 ever. That's what I got out of it. They believed it, and so they drafted for the future, because, like, you know what, they're right. We're not that good of a team. Let's plan for the future. Now, that's probably wasn't their mindset, obviously, but that's how it looked like to me. It looked like they literally believed everything that the media was telling them, that you're not that good of a football team.
Ouch.
I'll go with that.
I see it as the other way. The Packers know what they got. They know what they have. Obviously, we've signed a couple free agents this year. They know where they were last year. Obviously, we lost to San Fran twice. That was the big problem. We
outscored 59-0 in the first half. I'll throw that out there. They were over by halftime.
We still
just saying.
They're planning for the future. They still think we can win now. Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur believe we are still a good enough team right now to win, that we don't need to draft. We're not one player away. We're not one player away from being a Super Bowl champion. What we need to plan for the future. They're not going to want to pay Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams a lot of money next year. Aaron Rodgers, even if you mar the fact, it just as a backup. We have no other really good quarterback on our roster. So if Aaron Rodgers goes down this year, we get fucked again, like we do every time Aaron Rodgers goes down.
Right, but you guys could have drafted like Drake
in the third round. We drafted tight end in the third round. Our current starting tight end is Jason Sternberger. We don't have anybody else on our roster. And that tight end you drafted was also a reach. I'm just saying he's quick, but he has terrible hands, and that's really about it. He's Evan Ingram that can't catch. We got a linebacker, and then the end of the draft we got offensive line depth, which is one of our biggest needs this year.
Yeah, no, and the offensive line depth was the only thing I agreed with that they did. I was totally fine with that. But I just don't get it. I just don't get how, like, you can look at your roster, because they do have talent. I'm not denying the Packers have talent. And I even said they, like, draft for winning now. And why would I don't get why you would draft for the future, because the free agents they got still isn't getting them over the hump. Why not get those free agents that you do sign that are giving you over the hump? Draft good players that can get you over the top. Give Aaron Rodgers a second weapon, and Aaron Rodgers is going to show you what he's going to do. He's going to show you what he's going to do. Jamal Adams, at first, I don't know why you wouldn't just pay these guys if you're in a win-now situation anyway. Like, just go for it for these next few years. And I get the Packers are prideful, and they don't want to accept that they may have to tank in the future, so that's what they're probably preparing for now. Swallow your pride. Go get a wide receiver. Go draft some defensive help in the second round. Close that gap with San Francisco, which just widened it, in my opinion, with their offseason. Minnesota leapfrogged you with their draft. And I get what you're saying. Like, it's good to plan. It's good to plan for the future. But first off, they drafted the wrong players. If that's the case, like, except for Jordan Love. Like, I like Jordan Love. I talked about him. I think you didn't need to trade up for him. If you're going to draft him, let him fall to because it was evident the Patriots weren't going to draft well, first off, they traded. Yeah, it was evident the Patriots weren't going to draft a quarterback. Saints weren't drafting a quarterback. So I just don't get why you just don't put yourself in a position to win now instead of winning for the future, especially when the team that had the 6th easiest schedule in the NFL last year still finished with a below-average defense. Why not go out and improve that and put yourself over the top? That's just how I view it, I guess, but...
Well, since the roast of the Packers is kind of going on a standstill here, I'll go with my favorite and my least favorite. So my least favorites, we might as well start since you're already on the topic. My least favorites were the Packers, the Raiders, and then the Seahawks. I think Seattle definitely reached.
Yeah, Dylan Brooks was a bad pick in the first round.
But my favorite drafts, the Broncos, the Cowboys, the Vikings, and the Cardinals.
Yeah, I feel like the Broncos actually had a very underrated draft.
Yeah, Broncos had a very solid draft. I would agree.
I really liked. Let me go here. I really liked how they were focusing on helping Drew Lock instead of, just going all crazy. And they really put a focus by drafting wide receivers 1 and 2, which some other teams didn't even draft. Drafting 1, 2, getting a strong development, getting offensive and defensive line help. I think it really helped for the Broncos. The Cardinals, let me go back to the Cardinals here. I really liked what the Cardinals did. Granted, they got Josh Jones to fall to them, but I still really like that they just went for it, and I thought they just had a really good draft, especially with D-Hop and Kyler Murray. I think it's definitely, you can tell they're ready to go to the NFC West and try to contend for that championship there.
Yeah, it's going to be the hardest division in football this year, I think.
I think so too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Cowboys, Jerry Jones for being
Cowboys such a good draft. Holy hell, they drafted such good players.
Everybody was criticizing Jerry Jones for not wanting his scouts in there or everything. But I think Jerry Jones knew what he wanted, and he went for it, and he got everything that...
Yeah, and he got them at such great value, too, in terms of where they were on, the NFL big board, as opposed to where they were drafted. He got such amazing value. I'll let you go off with it, but I agree.
Yeah, so I think Trevon Diggs dropping to him, CD dropping to him. I thought those first 2 picks were really, really good, and I'd say Dallas probably won the first round, I'd say. Just with...
It's hard to argue with it. Yeah.
And then day 3, I thought that they really are trying, together to get a group of guys and not just single players, especially with Travis Frederick retiring and everything. I thought that them going heavy and trying to cover that issue up and trying to, even though they have, they lost, who'd they lose? Byron Jones. They try to cover that up, Trevon Diggs. They're really trying to focus on getting their situation in case, and I think that's going to be really good for Mike McCarthy and that offense going forward.
I personally think Dallas had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 picks. I think they drafted 6 starters. They drafted 6 starters in the NFL draft, in my opinion. Neville Gallimore is a run stuffer. He's going to be a beast. Tyler Biadasz, center from Wisconsin, he's literally going to replace Travis Frederick. He is literally the mold fabric of Travis Frederick. Heck, they even went to the same school. That's probably why. But he's literally what Jerry Jones wants in an offensive lineman, and that's pretty much what it is. Bradley Anae out of Utah is going to be an underrated draft or draft pick. Incredible pass rusher. Defensive end that uses his hands well, is really good on he's not going to overpower you, but he can put a good move on you to, break away and to wreak havoc in the backfield. Reggie Robinson's probably either going to play safety or he's going to play kind of that slot corner. So that's such a good draft by Dallas. Can't even get over it. And obviously I only have to go about CeeDee Lamb yeah.
I was so shocked that he fell to him.
I actually kind of was too, just because I think once Henry Ruggs was the first receiver taken, which I disagree with, but once that was taken, I'm kind of okay, CD's probably going to drop a little bit because you look at team needs and all that stuff. I just didn't see happening in the cards. Obviously I knew Denver was going to draft Jerry Jeudy because, you have the best receiver on the board at that point, you take him.
Right.
You know who else had a really good draft that we didn't mention yet? The Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore, I think, literally drafted themselves a Super Bowl. They have no weaknesses on that team anymore. Here, I'm trying to look up who they... 1 second. So the Ravens.
I guess they still have some holes on their offensive line, but overall, I definitely...
Offensive line, but that's really about it. But when you have Lamar Jackson, that offense is a great run-blocking offense, and that's what that's going to be their MO. They're a solid, pass... they can pass block, too. Especially losing Marshall Yonda, that's going to take a hit. I will agree with that. So, yeah, but here, 1 sec. I have to, of course, scroll all the way to the bottom because, of course, they did the North Division.
J.K. Dobbins was good pick by them.
Such a great pick.
That was a
I'm
great pick.
so pissed the Rams didn't take him. I was so pissed. He was right there and we didn't take him. But so this was the Ravens draft. So they've drafted one of the best, probably the best linebacker in the draft, in Patrick Queen. That addresses their problem. And he's a great pass coverage linebacker. J.K. Dobbins. Justin Matabuke is going to see a lot of playing time. I think he's going to bring a pass rush as well, which is big for a defensive tackle. They got him another receiver in Devin Duvernay. He's going to play the slot. Malik Harrison's a really good pickup. And they address the interior offensive line, drafting Tyree Phillips and Ben Brendanson back-to-back. And James Prochet is going to be a really underrated wide receiver in this class. That guy will literally catch anything that comes in his direction. Like, if you look up his highlights at SMU, he's a freak. He's not a freak athlete, but he's a freak in terms of, like, you put a ball anywhere in his direction, he's going to catch it. Like, I promise he will catch it, which will be good for Lamar Jackson, who's trying to continue to develop his passing game a lot. Oh, such a good draft by Baltimore. I think Baltimore's my pick to win the Super Bowl.
Damn, very early prediction.
That's going to be, and honestly, I don't see myself changing that prediction. I think they literally have zero to little flaws on that team. Because they got a defense to compete now. That is for damn sure.
You know, Brendan, I have not heard you, like, at all.
I have not.
Who is your favorite and least favorite?
Brent.
I have tried for like the past however long we've been doing this, but every time I try, somebody, Noah, opens their goddamn mouth. So.
Oh, were you saying something? I'm sorry.
You just gotta shout.
Anyways, Brendan, that was your moment to try. So now we'll. No, I'm just kidding.
So since most of the good and the bad have been taken, I have narrowed it down to I really liked Jacksonville's picks, actually, a little bit. I thought that they did a good job addressing some of their needs. A team that I was confused with a lot of their picks would be the Rams. After going after it again, like looking at it again now and thinking about things, I don't hate it as much, but I don't think the Rams had a great draft. That's my take on the draft.
Yeah? What do you think of the Patriots draft not taking a quarterback?
That's the smartest thing we could possibly do.
Mm.
I was thinking maybe we should pick up Jake Fromm when he was just plummeting and nobody was taking him, but I'm okay that we didn't, because I think I kind of understand Bill's plan now, which that's not easy to do. But so hear me out, guys. You have the option, like you're a quarterback in the NFL. You have to take over for Tom Brady, or you have to take over for why am I blanking on his name?
Jared fucking Stidham?
No. We're talking about Jared Stidham.
Oh, okay.
But what's the guy's name? Brian Hoyer. I blanked for a second. You're the next guy up. Would you rather want to go up after Tom Brady or Brian Hoyer?
That's fair. That's a fair point there.
Well, I mean, yeah.
So if you think about it, if you're going up after Tom Brady, you're going to be like under a lot of pressure because everybody in, the East Coast is going to expect you to put up Super Bowls now. If you send Brian Hoyer out there, he sucks it up really bad, like really bad.
Hey, I don't think Brian Hoyer is going to be that bad.
I don't think he is either, but I'm just saying if he does, then you come in. There's no pressure because you just have to be better than Brian Hoyer.
Wait, what about Andy Dalton? Could they go for Andy Dalton?
No.
Why not?
Because they already have Brian Hoyer.
Could they go for Aaron Rodgers?
Ooh.
I don't think Bill would want to do that. I don't think Aaron would want to do that either.
Do you think that one of the two undrafted quarterbacks they signed this year will get any playing time?
Probably not. But if it happens, it happens. But going on with that, so when Jared Stidham takes over, if he does well, I mean, there you go. You have your guy. If he does poor, you're probably putting yourself in that position to be around the area of a number 1 overall draft pick. So you could just get Trevor Lawrence and be fine. That is Bill's plan.
I just don't see Bill Belichick tanking for somebody. Because I'd really what that would show is that Tom's obviously better than Bill, and that Tom doesn't need Bill. Even if Tom goes 8-8, Tom didn't need Bill because Bill did worse without Tom than Tom did without Bill, and I don't think that that's something that Bill Belichick wants at all.
He could pull off a big trade, I guess, because that could be something Bill Belichick does.
Like trading every single draft pick.
Yeah, trading like the 1st, 2nd, 4th, 7th, try to trade up to like the 3rd, 2nd overall pick, depending on who has the first few picks next year.
Maybe that's why they were practicing trading up so much this draft, because I think only one of their original picks is what they actually drafted at, because they kept trading up and up and up and up. Maybe that's why they were trading up and up and up and up to practice for next year. Makes sense.
Because normally they trade down and down and down and down and down.
Right, so they got to get a little practice in there.
All in all, I just say in Bill we trust. So
okay.
Even if my idea of Bill's plan isn't Bill's actual plan, Bill will figure it out.
That's fair. There's a couple of guys that went undrafted that I was kind of surprised by. A couple tight ends, especially Hunter Bryant and Thaddeus Moss. Just surprised me a little bit that they went undrafted. Obviously, Hunter Bryant got signed like right after the draft to the Lions, and then Moss got signed to the Redskins, I believe.
Yeah,
but I was surprised that they fell out.
Well, here's my thing with Thaddeus Moss. The more I was realizing, like once I read like his like prospect file and stuff, I can see why he went undrafted. He's actually not that great of a tight end, to be 100% honest. I definitely think, like, don't get me wrong, I think he's a good tight end, but he gets a lot of name recognition. Obviously, being the son of Randy Moss is like huge, and I think that was a lot of media hype trying to hype him up, like, oh, it's Randy Moss's son and everything. But like as an actual tight end, I genuinely don't think he's that great of a tight end. I think he's good. I just don't think he's like great, and I could definitely see why he went undrafted.
I think with him too, injury concern was a problem because it hasn't had several injuries in college.
He has had foot surgery like a couple times too.
Yeah, I think that was one of the. I was reading that was one of the main reasons why he didn't get picked in the 6th or 7th round, just because of the injury concerns.
Yeah, not to mention he's already like a small, like not necessarily small, but like he's not, like his size isn't very what you want in a tight end anymore. I mean, he's a compact tight end, if anything, which doesn't help.
So he's a fullback.
But yeah, essentially. Without the breakaway speed. But yeah.
Oh, one person I was just found funny, that the Rams signed Josh Love. I think they were going for the wrong Love there, but they did sign a quarterback after the draft was over. Maybe they thought that, I thought that was Jordan or something. But I'm surprised that they didn't go quarterback with, their golf situation right now. Oh, I guess they have Blake Bortles too, though.
Bortles.
What situation?
You guys don't have
Jared
good quarterbacks.
That's why we got that Love guy. He can be our backup. Goff's our starter, and Goff I trust.
Okay.
And we just
Until
restructured
you
his
guys
contract.
replace him next year.
Well, we just restructured his deal, so I mean, if he's gonna be out the door in the next couple of years, I don't know. We weren't in any position to draft a good quarterback anyway, so why go all in try and get a quarterback that's not going to play when Jared Goff's going to be better than them? Just saying.
That's fair.
And Goff, I trust. I fully expect him to have a bounce back year. Just saying.
One quick side note that I do want to make about the draft again, real quick, is two teams that I think had good drafts. I don't know if I'd crack them in like the best drafts. I thought the Chargers had a really good draft, and I think that the Buccaneers had a really good draft. Maybe the Buccaneers not as good as the Chargers, but I thought they had a decent draft.
I think the Chargers sneakily had one of the best drafts. Obviously, getting Justin Herbert and trading back in that first round to get Kenneth Murray. Those are two really good players that I think will be really good starters for them for a long time.
Yeah, my thoughts exactly. The Kenneth Murray pick is, I think, what put them over.
Yeah.
So I think they're getting probably one of the best, like, ready-to-go linebackers. Like, obviously, I don't think he's quite on Isaiah Simmons level, but I definitely think he's going to be a really good day one linebacker for that team. Especially with, like, the defense. Like, obviously, they got Chris Harris this year and Linval Joseph. I think that's going to be a good defense.
Yeah, I think so. And I know Kenneth Murray had a lot of hype coming out of the draft. I know I was reading a thing. No GM found anything, like, when they were, like, interviewing him and talking to him. He seemed to be, like, such, like, the most stand-up guy. Apparently, all the GMs liked his personality. He was such a humble, nice guy. And I think that made him, I think a lot of teams like that about him. And I think he could be their day one starter at middle linebacker.
Yeah.
I like the Chargers' first day. I liked Herbert and Murray. I like those picks. And then I liked their last pick, KJ Hill, because I think that he has potential to be like really, really good. But their middle rounds, 4 through 6, I don't think anything was necessarily good about those. Like, I think they were just average kind of picks.
Well, I think with Joshua Kelly, what they got with him is obviously they don't know what they really have behind Austin Eckler. Obviously they got rid of Melvin Gordon this offseason. They moved on from him. But I mean, like, Austin Eckler's that type of guy. Like, I definitely think he'll play. Like, I think he's a 3-down back. Like, because he can catch out of the backfield really well. Like, he can even line up as a receiver. Like, he's that good of a receiving back. So I definitely think you have, like, your premier running back. I think with Joshua Kelly, that gives them like somebody to try to develop over the next couple of seasons just to see what they can get out of him. And then if they can develop him into a good, like a bigger role, and then get like a running back committee type of thing. I think that could be a really good, I think it's a good potential pick. Like if they can develop him. Now, granted, in the 4th round, that's kind of high to get somebody for their, development. I guess I don't disagree with you. I mean, I think Joe Reed and Gilman, are kind of just so picks, I mean, Gilman, their safety is obviously, like, they don't really have a standout safety next to Derwin James. Like, it's really just Derwin James and then, whoever they feel like slotting up at free safety. So I think Gilman is a good pick to at least put some competition into that free safety spot. But like you said, like, I think KJ Hill was a really good pick too. So I mean, that's why I think they had a really good draft.
Nice.
And then the Buccaneers, like I said, I think they didn't have quite as good as a draft. Like, I think they had a good draft, not a great draft. I liked what they did.
I thought they had a great draft.
I was mad that they took Anton Winfield Jr., but they definitely took a lot of Midwest guys. They took Wirfs in the 1st round from Iowa, Winfield Jr. from Minnesota in the 2nd round, Tyler Johnson in the 5th round from Minnesota, and then Khalil Davis in the 6th round from Nebraska. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and I thought it was kind of weird that you saw all the teams. I'd expect like the Midwest teams, like the Chiefs, the Vikings, or like even somebody like the Broncos to go after the Midwest guys, but I was surprised how much Tampa Bay attacked them, and they didn't go with the best part though is they didn't go with LSU guys. I think they gave smaller kind of areas chances. But that's what you get when you get Bruce Arians, though. You get a smart guy, and so I think he made smart decisions.
I will say Tyler Johnson. He was going to be my prospect pick back when I was normally doing the podcast. Kind of a reach. I genuinely could have seen Tyler Johnson going undrafted almost.
Ooh, that's
almost. I'm not saying he
he was way too talented not to get drafted. The only issues he apparently had was character issues.
Yeah, and that's my biggest thing is obviously you go to a team led by Bruce Arians and obviously Tom Brady. Tom Brady's not going to put up with shit from a young wide receiver. He's just not.
No, and that's well. I'll tell you what though, Tyler Johnson won't have to complain about getting his touches because he's going to be the slot guy, and Tom Brady will make sure he gets his looks. He loves the slot, so
that's true. Another cool thing I realized about the draft after looking back, the Bengals picked at they picked all of their original picks and they had all of their picks this year. I thought that was kind of funny. It's they picked the first pick of every round this year.
Yeah, they didn't trade with nobody. It was really cool.
And they had all 7 picks this year, so I thought that was kind of cool.
I was very surprised by T. Higgins falling to the second round, to be honest with you.
Yes, me too.
So I was really happy with the
team.
Bengals.
It's almost like a team drafted a quarterback when they could have drafted a receiver. Okay, now I'll stop making fun of the Packers. I promise. I'm done.
I was surprised Mims fell so far too, though.
Yeah.
I wasn't so surprised at Mims. I mean, I definitely think he's a first-round talent, but he's more of a project, if anything. I mean, I think he'll be good, but I mean, he's kind of the only concern, especially compared to all the other wideouts who are more polished.
I was just surprised that he kept falling.
Right. Because where did he fall to again? Went to
59 to the Jets.
Jets had a really underrated draft too.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they had a solid draft.
Can I be honest? I think there's a lot of teams that had a lot of good drafts. For me, there's because I'm looking through all the picks and stuff again, and I'm just oh crap! The Giants had a good draft, the Jets had a good draft. I thought the Bills had a good draft. I really liked Indianapolis's draft. There's just so many good teams that just had really good drafts. The Niners got better with their draft. There's just, I mean, I think that's what you get when you have such a stacked class. But I really, there's not a lot of teams where I can really complain about their draft. I think Cleveland had an amazing draft. Such a good draft.
For what Cleveland's going through, I agree with you.
Yeah, I think Cleveland made themselves a playoff team once again. Or I shouldn't say once. I want not once again, but finally they're a playoff team.
Maybe. Don't get too excited about that.
Yeah, that's I'll believe it when I see it sort of things.
Another team, as much as I hate to say it, that had a really good draft was the Saints. I think with what they had going into the draft, I definitely think that they had a good draft.
I think so too, and I think the Saints are another thing because the Saints realistically probably don't have any weaknesses on that team, or at least not a whole lot that I can think of. And it's one of those things where it's I mean, they have probably had the best roster in the NFL. So in terms of the value they got for those picks, I would agree they had a very solid. I think they've plugged in the holes well with the picks that they got.
Yes, definitely. And then obviously with Zach Bond falling all the way to the third
That's another
round.
guy I thought the Rams had a chance of getting, and they did not pull the trigger on it. I'm really upset about it, but it'd be what it be.
But yeah. Does anybody else have draft takes?
Well, I have a crap ton, but I don't think we have time for all that. I have so many. This is such a fun draft.
Yeah.
I really like Roger Goodell. He really kind of
was such a.
That man was so tired by day 2.
He earned my respect for the first time in his career.
I would agree. I'm not a Roger Goodell fan, but I mean, kudos to him for saying because that was easily the most picks he's ever had to announce because he usually only does the first. Not usually, he only does the first round.
Yeah. It was really awesome to see. And then he was just making jokes. I hated how he was just revving up those screens behind him. Like, come on, boo me. But, that's kind of what.
I did. I thought that was pretty funny how he wanted him to boo him. That's funny.
And then him, every chance he got, he'd grab his jar of M&Ms and just shake them a little bit. They're going, guys. Definitely could tell M&Ms were a sponsor. But I really hated how ESPN tried to make it so every single guy had a story.
Oh my god! Oh, I'm not gonna say anything about it because I may say something controversial, so I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
No, we like controversy.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's. I agree with you. It was insane, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. It was absurd what ESPN. Oh my lord, it was crazy.
Continue, Noah.
Okay, okay. So I get it. It's great to build a story, but with all these guys, I 100% get it. You have the whole world watching because there's nothing else to watch. Don't kill the mood with every single like some stories I think you should tell because it adds to what they are. Like Javon Kinlaw's story, you have to tell that story. Such an incredible story with Javon Kinlaw, and I am pulling for him so freaking much with the Niners. I hate that he's on the Niners, but I am pulling or like Yader Gross Matos. Great story, tragic stuff with a freak accidents too with his dad and his brother. But it just seemed like every single pick had something, and it's like I didn't want to be like, okay, guys, we get it, because I get that's mean, and I'm sure if that was in my situation, I would take it seriously. I mean, like, not saying like ESPN didn't take it seriously, but like I would definitely use that to motivate me as well. But like ESPN, we get it. You don't have to dampen the mood about a death every single pick. Like, does that sound too dickish of me, or am I kind of spot on with that?
No, I think you're kind of spot on. And
okay, because like I said, I don't want to be a jerk and be like, don't talk about, because I totally get it. That's what motivates them as athletes. That's family. I totally get it. I do think it was a little uncalled for on ESPN to just exploit it with every single prospect.
Yeah, I definitely think it's one of those things. Everyone does have a story, but I don't think that was the place to use like everyone's story to be told.
Right.
Especially when some of the ESPN people talking didn't necessarily know about the story. They just kind of heard it second or third hand. And so they were trying to, well, this guy's dad died when he was 13 years old. And I don't know.
So one of the things I kind of found interesting is with the first round, they obviously did the story thing, but it seemed like the couple of people that didn't have a story was Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow. Like, Joe Burrow had a story, but it wasn't like everybody else had a tragic story besides them. And that was interesting.
Those were the faces. Those were Herbert and Tua they've been telling their story for the past 4 months. So they probably got sick of, just as we got sick of listening to story after story, they probably got sick of the Tua and Herbert story and Burrow story.
Yeah, that's true. That is, especially with Joe Burrow, because we knew for like months upon months that he was going to be the first overall pick. Yeah, not a good look for ESPN. They definitely toned it down in the later rounds, but it was just like, okay,
it's almost kind of
sad
though that they toned it down in the later rounds, because it makes it seem like they didn't really care.
Yeah, that's true. That almost makes it worse. Oh.
Because it just shows oh, you're not as good as a prospect, so we don't think you're gonna go as far, so we don't care to tell your story.
I will say this though, the memes about that ESPN thing have been hilarious. Like, there's some really funny ones I feel bad for laughing about, but
yeah.
But they're just like subtle shots at ESPN. They're really funny.
I think ESPN deserves them though. So I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting draft. Like, just the way that it was done. with the circumstances that we're in.
I thought it was incredibly well done considering the circumstances.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate if it's done similar to this in the future. Of course, there's be some tweaks and stuff, but I don't hate the way they did it.
See, I think this actually was a good thing because, like, I feel like what they should do is the first round should be like it always is, like in person. You bring the prospects, but then after that, you go to this like virtual style. Like, 'cause I wouldn't mind that.
No, I wouldn't either.
So, Ethan, we brought you on here for a reason. And while part of that reason was for the draft, you also brought us an idea.
You guys just didn't miss me?
Well, we've been bringing you up every week, so obviously that was part of it. But you came to us, and so we're like, ooh, we got to grab this.
Yeah, my new segment that I want to introduce to you guys.
Yeah.
I actually figured out a name for it too, so I'm proud of myself.
Ooh, perfect.
So, the name of my segment that I want to introduce to you guys is the Hall of Fame or the Hall of Lame.
Ooh.
So, what this is I made a list of probably like 60, 70 players across multiple sports. And essentially, what my question is, and then with the player list, I should mention, it is a wide variety of players. It's players that have been in the league for 2-3 years. It's players that have been in the league for close to 20 years. But what it is it bears the question, are these guys Hall of Fame worthy or are they not Hall of Fame worthy? And with that, will they ever be Hall of Fame worthy? Obviously, I don't want to give any of the names away, but obviously we kind of talked about it early in the week about one of the names. But for this week, we have decided to choose LaShawn McCoy as our very first Hall of Fame or Hall of Lame. So yeah, what do you guys think? Do you guys think by the end of his career, because obviously LaShawn McCoy isn't quite done. He says he wants to play, I think, for 2 more years. But he is getting close to the end of his career. Obviously, he doesn't have very many years left, especially being a running back. But obviously, he's been a very good running back over his career. So, like I said, my question to you guys is, do you guys think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame?
I think LaShawn McCoy is a good example of somebody who could go either way. Before I started my research, I said, yeah, as a player, I love LaShawn McCoy. But now that I've done research, I say no. I don't think LaShawn McCoy, especially not a first ballot. I think eventually he could potentially get in, but it won't be right away.
Wow.
If he does.
Anyone else?
I'm still contemplating it. Give me a second.
So,
if someone wants to go before me.
Yeah, here I'll give you more reasons why I don't think LaShawn McCoy will be a Hall of Famer. He does have 6 Pro Bowls and 2 All-Pros in his career. When you look at all-time rankings for LaShawn McCoy, numbers-wise, he is 27th all-time in rushing touchdowns, 22nd all-time in rushing yards, and 19th all-time all-purpose yards, which is pretty good. But a lot of the players who had more yards and more all-purpose yards did it in a lot fewer games. He's obviously had a pretty long career. And I think what the ultimate factor was for LaShawn McCoy is, well, one, not only are there other players currently eligible to have both. There are 3 current players who are eligible for the Hall of Fame that have more yards and touchdowns than him. But I really think the sad part of LaShawn McCoy is I don't think he has as much historical impact as some of the other running backs around that played with him. I mean, if you look at, I know I mentioned this a little bit in the group chat earlier today, when I think that when LaShawn McCoy is really good, I kind of think of the same era as, AP and Marshawn Lynch. And I believe both those guys will be Hall of Famers, potentially first ballot Hall of Famers, especially AP. But, Marshawn Lynch is like an AP and will be remembered forever. I feel like LaShawn McCoy is one of those backs where we'll remember him. But 10, 20 years down the line, they'll be who? They're not going to remember LaShawn McCoy.
Ooh, that's fair.
Yeah, so there's 3 running backs currently eligible for Hall of Fame that have not made it, who have more rushing yards and touchdowns, and that's Corey Dillon, Fred Taylor, and Edwin James. But I think there will be a couple Hall of Fame running backs from this kind of time period, but I don't think LaShawn McCoy will be.
Ooh. So, first one is a no. I can respect that.
Brendan, go.
Is Brendan still alive?
Yeah, I am. I just had a problem with clicking the unmute button. So I feel like running back is going to get harder and harder to actually get into the Hall of Fame because we've seen such great ones. I'm going to take the stance that I don't think he gonna make it, unfortunately. Kind of just going along the lines of the people who are around him that haven't made it, and just I feel like running back is going to be a lot harder to get in.
And kind of going off what I was saying is, if you look at running backs that played about the same time as Sean McCoy, I think, and I was looking at a list of some other potential Hall of Fame running backs, I could see Adrian Peterson, Marshawn Lynch, and Frank Gore all making the Hall of Fame, but not LaShawn McCoy.
I like that you brought up Frank Gore there, because when I think of people, I think of Shady, and I think of Frank Gore as kind of being, like, in a way, not really similar, but I think of them as together in a way. And while I think Frank Gore is definitely a Hall of Famer, I also think that McCoy will make it in the Hall of Fame. I don't necessarily think he'll be, first top of the ballot Hall of Fame guy. But just because of how much he's done, being like, he's 24th in history for per carry. I mean, that's like, he has stats that make him sound like he should be a Hall of Famer. Of course, there's things that, might push him off the edge, and running back may become a little bit harder to go in as a Hall of Famer just because there's so many of them. But I still think that he deserves it just for how much he's done in the league. Kind of like a...
Yeah. And I think part of the problem, too, is going to be I think I could see him getting in eventually. The problem is going to be, though, is the longer it takes for LaShawn McCoy to get in, I think the lower the chances. Because, there are going to be more great running backs. We don't know it, but in the next 10 years, we could have another greatest of all time running back, and that will just push LaShawn McCoy down more, because the more great running backs you have, the less chance LaShawn McCoy is going to get it in the Hall.
That's fair. I guess I definitely agree with that. Especially like you said, with the running backs he played with during his time, because obviously, I'm willing to bet Adrian Peterson and Frank Gore will probably retire within 1 year of each other. I don't see either of them going more than a year without each other, if that makes sense, just because given their age. Unless for some reason Adrian Peterson has some weird career resurgence and decides to pull a Frank Gore and Emmitt Smith and play until he's 40. But obviously, even like you said, Marshawn Lynch would be eligible for, I think, what would it be, the 2026 Hall of Fame class?
Yeah, unless he comes back again.
Yeah, which is true. But yeah, I definitely think that LaShawn McCoy is a perfect player to start this whole thing with, because I definitely think if he can play another 2 years, and I think he's good enough to play another 2 years, it's just a matter of, will a team give him a chance, given that he is 31? It's his biggest downfall. Because you do bring up his career stats and everything, and obviously he has good stats, not great stats. And like Ben said, there's 3 guys ahead of him in rushing yards already that aren't in the Hall of Fame. And then basically everybody below LaShawn McCoy isn't in the Hall of Fame. Obviously, Marshawn Lynch will end up in the Hall of Fame at some point. But outside of that, Earl Campbell is in the Hall of Fame, Jim Taylor. But then you look at guys like Matt Forte, Clinton Portis, Sean Alexander, who aren't in the Hall of Fame. Even like Herschel Walker's not in the Hall of Fame. It definitely brings up what is going to get running back in the Hall of Fame nowadays. I can't remember who said it, but you know how somebody said that it will get harder as a running back to get into the Hall of Fame because like running backs just kind of don't exist anymore. You know, you're receiving a wide receiver out of the backfield anymore. One thing about LaShawn McCoy that I definitely think will give him a big push is he kind of was one of those he was a really good pass catching running back out of the backfield when it wasn't really popular. You know, like we said, he played with like Adrian Peterson, Marshawn Lynch, Frank Gore. You know, like those guys aren't known as like receiving backs. You know, those are all pure running backs. You know, those are guys that pound their way for 6-7 yards, you know, on any given run. So I think LaShawn McCoy, one thing is going to help him is the fact that he was a good pass catcher. You know, I mean, was he the best? No, but I mean, he was a really good pass catcher for the Eagles for many years. He holds the record. He has the most all-purpose yards in the 2010s for any running back, which I think is something that is really impressive. That's what I think as of right now. He probably has a 50-50 chance of making the Hall of Fame. If he plays another 2 to 3 years and he moves up on that all-time rushing list, I think if he can get to 15, because right now he's only about 1,000 yards away from getting from 22nd all the way to 15th, which would put him in the likes of Thurman Thomas, Franco Harris, Marcus Allen, you know, like Hall of Fame running backs. I think he would be a lock for the Hall of Fame, but I think, like I said, it just all depends on whether or not a team's willing to give him a contract to let him play another couple of years.
Yeah, and I think you're right. If Sean McCoy can bolster his stats and get more all-purpose yards or more rushing yards, I think that will increase the chance. And I honestly do think one day he'll make it, but I think it's going to be a long time. And I think it's going to be funny. I think one day in the future, we're going to be looking and we're going to get a notification that LaShawn McCoy made it. And we'll be like, hey, look, remember LaShawn McCoy?
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. When we're old enough to have that moment. That actually happened to me the other day. You guys keep talking about this because I think we still need Noah's take. I don't know if Noah wants to give his take on this. If I can remember their name, I will tell you guys. But there was somebody I remembered the other day, and I was like, holy shit, I remember him.
Yeah, I mean, so like how I kind of view if you should be a Hall of Famer, I kind of view in a lot of ways. Like, do you have the stats to back it up? Like the historic stats to back it up? I kind of look at the era that they played in. I look at were they considered a top player at their position in that given time they played, or can you not tell the history of football without this certain player? And with LaShawn McCoy, now the stats I'm going to leave off because he can still achieve more. Like if he gets to like 1,200-1,300 yards, if he can crack that top 20 or even that top 15, and if he cracks that top 10, like he's good. Most rushing yards in the 2010s, and he was on the All-Decade team, wasn't he? On the NFL All-Decade team?
I think he made it as the flex because the running backs, pretty sure, was Peterson and Lynch.
Which is which is understandable. And I think that's so you kind of look at it and like, okay, so in a way he was considered the best, one of the better running backs in his position at the time. I mean, you look at players like we said, like Frank Gore, you know, and like Frank Gore, Adrian Peterson, Marshawn Lynch, who else was good in the who else was like really good in like the 2010s? Like
Jamal Charles was another standout name from the 2010s.
Yeah, but his career kind of dipped off once he got hurt. I'm trying to think of like player, and I think that could maybe that may be another thing that helps his case. I'm actually still deciding if he's a Hall of Famer as I'm talking about it, so you'll kind of get my big answer at the end.
Maybe you could argue Chris Johnson. He kind of peaked in the late 2000s. But...
Yeah, and that's the thing because I don't think he was consistently good. Because like LaShawn McCoy was consistently good in the 2010s, you know, led rushing in 2010s, and you know, but now you could argue it's an era that got less and less with the running back in a dying position. You can't really tell the history. You can tell the history of the NFL without LaShawn McCoy. There were times he wasn't even considered the best, like, because he also split carries with Darren Sproles, and Darren Sproles was really good. was really good. I'm going to say no, but if he does make it, I won't be surprised, if that's a good enough answer.
Yeah.
I'm going to say no, because I think there are just so many other factors in it, like the ones that I've just said, that just don't really do it for me as a Hall of Famer. I mean, he has a Super Bowl ring, but he wasn't much of a factor for the Chiefs in that win. Like, let's say he went to Kansas City, he had an over 1,000-yard season, had a really good Super Bowl or something, then I'd be like, okay, well, now we're talking here. Like, now you got it, but he wasn't the biggest factor on that team. He wasn't even the best running back on that team. So I'm going to say no, but if it happens, I won't be shocked. I'll say that.
Nice. So, did we get Brendan's take on this?
I think we did.
Yeah, we did.
So, with what it is, Ben said no, Noah said no. What did you say, Brendan?
No.
You said no. So I said maybe. Duncan said yes. So it looks like a 3-1, I guess. So I guess that would conclude our very first guy. LeSean McCoy would be, in our minds, in the Hall of Lame. He will most likely not end up as a Hall of Fame running back, but he definitely could sneak his way at some point in his career. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say. Do you have a teaser for next week?
We have a definitive guy picked out, but if I'm thinking of the guy that we talked about before, we'll just say he was definitely a player that went literally from MVP to backup, and that's all I'm going to say about him. But yeah, like I said, we'll do this, and I do have names from other sports as well. You know, like I said, it's not just gonna be NFL players. I do have plenty of NFL players, and like I said, to make it fun, like I don't plan on just doing like old players. Like I don't plan on doing just guys that are late in their career. Like I want to see what you guys think of like some young players. You know, like I want to know what you guys think of. You know, guys, like, I think it'd be fun to eventually do one on, like, Patrick Mahomes right now, you know, see what we think of him now, and then, you know, in, like, 10 years, see how accurate our predictions become, you know, like, something like that. Not necessarily saying we'll do Patrick Mahomes, because, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is, you know, the way looking right now, going on to become one of, if not the greatest quarterback, but, you know, just an example, you know, like a young player that is a staple player in their sport, you know, I think it'd be kind of fun to assess their careers so far.
I think we should do Tom Brady.
Oh yeah,
I'm just kidding.
I think that would get a
Tom Brady Hall of Lame.
4-1 vote.
Hall of Lame. Honestly,
Hall of Lame.
The only one to not get a single vote. Yes.
Hall of Lame.
But no, I said I was thinking about players when I was making this list, actually. I remembered a player that I totally forgot about. Do you guys remember Arian Foster?
You remember Arian Foster?
Yeah. He
actually
cool.
played on the same team as my favorite wide receiver of all time.
Yeah. I can't think of his name. Andre Johnson.
Yeah.
God, can you imagine if that team had a quarterback?
No kidding.
But yeah, I remembered Arian Foster the other day, and I was like, oh shit, I remember him. That was pretty cool. Yeah. And I got 2 free jerseys yesterday from my parents' neighbors. That was pretty cool.
Yay!
I got a Paul Goldschmidt St. Louis Cardinals and a Vlad Guerrero Jr. Toronto Blue Jays jersey. That's pretty cool.
Nice. Well, we were kind of talking about LeSean McCoy. Who's doing our franchise of the week for Kansas City? Noah?
That is me, yes. All right, so obviously the reigning Super Bowl champions. So it's kind of tough to do right now just because it's like, you know, all the decisions have been made. So what I'm going to try and do is from here on out, I'm going to see what we can do to make the team with what we have better. And we'll just roll with that. So I don't really have to go. Obviously, Mahomes is their quarterback. So, I want to talk about the rookie that they just got, the running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I definitely think he should not start, but I definitely think he should be on the field a lot in third down options or in obvious passing situations. I think he has a potential to be not potential. I think he will be a better pass catching running back than Damian Williams. So if we can use him in those long yardage situations, he can also help a lot in like pass blocking. He's a pretty good pass blocking running back. Our receiving core is stacked. So let's see who else. Another rookie. There's another rookie I wanted to talk about. Lucas Niang from TCU. I definitely don't. I think he will be a good to have a battle with Mitchell Schwartz. Or if you want to move him over to left tackle, I know Eric Fisher at times has been shaky at times, but I think Lucas Niang will be a really good backup. Other than that, the offensive line is honestly pretty solid. Like, it's a solid enough offensive line to make it work for Patrick Mahomes. Willie Gay Jr., the linebacker from Mississippi State, he has to be our day one starter. Our linebacking core is not very, especially at the middle linebacker, is not very good. Anthony Hitchens I like him a lot. Damian Wilson, I think, has room to grow, but I think Willie Gay needs to be our number one middle linebacker. Let's see. Oh, goodness. Our defense. Okay, so our secondary, I feel like I actually kind of like a lot. I feel this is so bad. This is so tough because, like, there's just not a lot of big decisions to be made. Maybe if you want to, like, I'm kind of looking at it now. We could use another edge rusher. I don't know if Everson Griffin has been signed by a team yet. Does anybody know? No, he is not. I mean, why not just go for it? If anything, you can get him just to prevent anybody else from getting him, and he makes your pass rush better. And that's kind of what Kansas City needs right now. I'm pretty sure. I don't know where they. To be honest, I forgot to look up where they stood in team sacks, but I think with him, if you use him in the base 4-3 defense, use him as a pass rusher. Him and Frank Clark can be a scary defensive end duo. In terms of trading for any players, I don't really think so. First off, we don't really have the cap for it to be. Oh, we may not even be able to sign Everson Griffin because our cap situation is terrible. So that's going to be tough. But hey, if we can get Everson Griffin, let's try and get Everson Griffin. In terms of trade, our cap situation just won't allow it. But luckily, we're in such a good situation with our team that it's going to be okay. Other than the few changes of seeing Helaire, I want to see Demarcus Robinson get a little, like, see the field a little bit more, kind of between him and Mecole Hardman. Kind of see a lot of playing time because we have speed at wide receiver, and I think it'd be really fun to see. I kind of just want to see Lucas Niang kind of give our offensive line just, kind of keep the edge on him, just kind of keep him, keep him working. Willie Gay, we drafted a really good linebacker there. I think he's going to start. He's good. He's really good in pass coverage. Kind of smaller for a linebacker, but I think he's quick. He can cover the field well, so I think that'll help us a lot, especially with playing teams like, Baltimore and Indianapolis is going to be a better passing team this year. So, yeah, I mean, nothing really has to change with Kansas City. It doesn't help that I also got not a boring team, but, like, they're the reigning Super Bowl champions. They don't need to make a lot of improvements. We're going to be top AFC contenders for the next few years. Well, actually, as long as Patrick Mahomes is on that team, we'll always be AFC contenders. So, yeah, 13-3, 12-4 for a record. Yeah. Chiefs Kingdom. Let's go back to back. Let's do it.
Chiefs, no.
Chiefs back to back.
Ooh.
Why not? I think they have a good shot to go back to back.
You just said the Ravens.
I was gonna say.
Ravens are my pick. Yeah, I know Ravens are my pick, but obviously I can't disregard Kansas City as a legit Super Bowl contender.
Fair.
In fact, they're the only team that can probably beat Baltimore right now.
Ooh. Disrespect on Sam Fran.
Okay, sorry. I mean in the AFC. I should have clarified. In the AFC, they're the only team that can beat Baltimore. Obviously, I think there's a lot of teams in the NFC that can beat Baltimore. Just saying.
Ooh, hashtag overrated.
Well, too
go.
bad that all those teams have to play the next coming of God and Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah, fuck, that's tough. You're right.
Jared Stidham about to go out there, throw 8 touchdowns in his first game as a starter. Then he's never going to throw a touchdown in the NFL again.
That'd be kind of funny.
Well, it depends on which team he throws those touchdowns for. Because the only film of Jared Stidham right now is him throwing a pick 6 to Jamal Adams.
Hey,
Fun
at least
fact.
it's Jamal Adams.
Yeah, that's true. Because like Jamal Adams is one of the best safeties in the NFL, so at least you have that to.
Y'all should just trade for Nathan Peterman and call it a day.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, but if anybody could make Nathan Peterman good, it'd be Bill Belichick.
John fucking Gruden.
All right. Well, that has been franchise mode, Chiefs edition,
Yeah.
and now for everybody's favorite time of the day, it's time to spin the big wheel.
The big wheel?
The big wheel.
Shit.
The
Can
big
all-
wheel does keep getting smaller, though.
Can all of you see the big wheel?
I can.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes, I can see it.
And who's doing this next week?
I think it's me, isn't it?
Awesome. So let's see who you're going to get. Who do you want to get?
Obviously, I want to get Minnesota. Minnesota hasn't been taken, right?
Nope.
Right.
I
Well,
get the Detroit Lions. Oh, shit. I'm fucked. I get, like, the hardest one because Detroit ain't ever winning shit.
Could be worse.
You should take off San Fran, too, while you're there. Because we did San Fran already.
In terms of roster, I mean, the Lions are good, but it's the Lions. We all know they're never going to win.
They have some talent now, but yeah, it's the Lions.
I mean, if you can't win with Calvin Johnson and Matt Stafford, you're fucked.
That's
Sorry,
true.
can we swear on this?
Yes.
Still? Okay, cool. Yeah. Detroit ain't never going nowhere. But I'll do my best.
To be fair, they've never had a good defense. But
that's true.
But yeah, when you have Matt Stafford and Calvin Johnson, you can't even win a playoff game. Imagine being a franchise. You have 2 all-time greats at their respective position. You force them out because you're just so crappy.
So
Yeah.
with all of this, like, imagine if they had, like, Matt Stafford and Calvin Johnson, that duo. I mean, obviously they still have Matt Stafford, but if they had that nowadays, where defense doesn't matter, as we've seen with, like, the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl,
It literally,
like, they might be able to win a
defense
playoff
still
game.
matters. Defense still matters. The Chiefs are a big outlier. It's because
guess
they have like.
If the Detroit Lions were to theoretically add a young prime Calvin Johnson right now, they would still win less than 5 games. I don't know how they would do it, but they would because they are the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I can't argue with that logic.
And the Thanksgiving game, Calvin Johnson would go for 4 receptions for 282 yards. They'd still lose like 45-28. But yeah, well, I get a fun team, I guess. Definitely an interesting team.
Definitely more work to do than Kansas City, that's for sure.
Yeah, I
Hey.
definitely got to make some tough decisions, but
Just know, Ethan, you could relocate to London.
fuck yeah, Detroit. It's moving. No, we're
Nope.
moving to Canada.
You can fire Matt Patricia. That is an option.
That's gonna happen. Don't worry. Matt Patricia's gone. That was instantly the first thing I saw when I saw Detroit. I was like, well, that whole staff's getting an overhaul. So
I'm sure the Patriots will pick Matt Patricia back up as a DC.
No, he should go to Tampa and be the new DC.
he probably would.
God damn it.
what was that?
Well,
Yeah.
boys, is that everything?
Trent
Yes.
Williams finally got traded. We didn't talk about that.
Yeah, to San Fran.
For a goddamn third and a 5th round pick. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, San Fran's probably the team to beat in the NFC again.
Yeah, how the fuck do you get the best left tackle in football for a 3rd and a 5th? That is
I get-
Magic.
I think they're both just desperate to they're desperate to get rid of him, and he was desperate to get out. Like I think they were just so desperate to get rid of him, they were just like, fuck it, we'll just take draft picks.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's about really it though, because like I said, he's 30, 32, something like that, but he's still productive.
Yeah, obviously, I don't think he played last year either, did he?
No, he did not.
So yeah,
And,
he's obviously.
had he still been with Washington, he would have sat out this year.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna make that run offense a lot better. Not saying that Joe Staley, who just actually retired because of it, was bad, but
well, no, Joe Staley's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he's definitely.
Imagine going from one Hall of Fame left tackle to just hopping into another one.
Yeah,
that makes me upset.
So with San Fran doing that as well, they also traded away Matt Breida.
Oh yeah. The Patriots also lost James Devlin today.
That's already retired.
Yeah, he was injured last season, so he didn't play at all. I kind of was expecting him to retire this season, or before this season.
Wasn't there another? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Wasn't there another team that was like trade heavy during the draft? Was it the Dolphins that made like 3 trades? Or no, it was the Niners with Goodwin, because we talked about Goodwin. 49ers were all over the trade board.
Yep. And they even before the draft, they traded DeForest Buckner so they'd have an extra first-round pick.
Yeah, goddamn.
And they got Javon Kinlaw for it. And now that defensive line is going to be more stacked. Well, I guess I shouldn't say more stacked. They'll be just as stacked as they were, because I guess Buckner's gone. But you know what I mean. Like, they'll still be really good.
Yeah,
they'll have more money because of it.
Yeah.
That's kind of the bigger deal, because like next year they have to re-sign Kittle, Juszczyk, Jimmy G. I think still has another year after this year.
Yeah, well, they can let Jimmy walk if they want. They'll be okay.
No, because they didn't draft Jordan Love like you said they should.
They did not, but that doesn't mean they can't get a guy next year, the year after.
They could trade for him.
Or they could, they could trade. Yeah.
I'd take that trade straight up. Jimmy G for Jordan Love?
They'll probably go after the next coming of God, though, Jarrett Stidham.
I don't think they will.
I think they will. Just wait. So that way Bills can get Jimmy G back and get what he wants out of him instead of having him get shipped off because of Tom the bitch Brady.
Well, Brendan, if that happens, I will first off. Never mind. I'm not going to say anything about Brady, but if that does happen, I will personally buy you a Jimmy Garoppolo Patriots jersey if that trade happens. So you better make some phone calls and do some convincing to your boy Bill.
Yes, hello. Could I reach the office of Bill Belichick? Yeah, no, I'm just a fan, but I'm just trying to win a bet here. Oh yeah. Hey Bill, you want to shake up the world again?
Yeah, can you find a way to finesse San Francisco to getting Jimmy G for Jarrett Stidham?
Oh.
By the way, Belichick's a master of finessing draft picks. Because if you really think about it, the freaking New England Patriots managed to get a 4th-round draft pick for a retired tight end that wasn't going to play for New England anyway, and they still got a 4th-rounder for him.
Yeah.
Finesse.
Well,
Bill Belichick's dog picked the first pick, so.
He did. I thought that dog did a pretty good job with it.
Very true, very true, very true.
Yeah.
Wow. Great meme you sent there, Ethan. But have you heard of our friends at FNX?
Have I? No, I have not.
All right. Our friends at FNXFit.com are here to provide you with all your supplement and workout needs. If you go to FNXFit.com and you use the promo code SighSquad, you'll get 15% off your order. You heard me right. 15% off your order at fnxfit.com/SighSquad and use promo code SighSquad there. Yeah.
Wow.
Noah, you use it.
I do, yes. It's actually a pretty good product. I am not gonna lie. It tastes quite good. I mix it with milk, and I cut fruit into it too, so it's quite good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, as always, you can find us on social media at SighSquadPod. Where can we find you, Ethan?
I'm on Twitter. My Twitter handle doesn't make sense because I changed my name, but my Twitter handle is at EthanArneson1. I'm also on Instagram. I don't know what my Instagram handle is. It is ebomb471921.
Perfect. We'll tag you.
Thanks.
Might
That'd
make
be
it
pretty
a
cool.
But thanks for joining us this week on this fantastical episode of the SighSquad podcast.
Thank you for having me back, by the way.
Always.
Yeah, time. And we'll love to hear your voice next week when you talk about your best friends, the Detroit Lions.
Detroit.
Woo!
For the SighSquad podcast, I'm Duncan.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Noah.
I'm Ben.
And I'm the guy that pronounces Detroit Lions as Detroit Lions.
God damn it, Brendan.
Yeah, he does that every week. And this will be the SighSquad podcast. Thanks for listening.